We will call this meeting of the Fairfield Public Library Board of Trustees meeting to order at 7:11 p.m. on June 5th, 2023. Our first item of business is public comment. Appears we have no one in the online meeting. Any comments from the public in the room? No. So with that, we'll move on to the approval of minutes from our last meeting in May. If everyone would just take a few minutes to review the meeting notes included and give us any edits as needed. 7:21. Wow. Late meeting.
It's funny. I don't remember one.
Yeah.
There was some technical thing. Oh, I just forgot about it. So
I forgot to bring the laptop.
I'll make a motion.
All right.
To approve the minutes from the May 1st, 2023 meeting.
So,
Second.
all right. All in favor? Christina, in favor? All right, so they are approved. All right, as for the chairman's report, not too much to report over the last month. I will note that we did get quite a few applications into the new trustee search. There was an article in the Patch, I guess, that stated the due date of a week and a half from now, which is interesting. And I know we got a few more in from that, but I'll be communicating that our deadline had passed. But no, good to see that there's interest out in the community for this role, and I think it'll be a good thing for us moving forward, see that people continue to be interested in the work of the library and the board. With that, I will pass it over to Scott for library updates.
So some more popular adult services programs. There was the author tea with Joyce Maynard, a book talk by Mark Schenker, program called Tories, Spies, and Traitors, which I kind of regret missing, divided loyalty in the revolution during the Revolutionary War, and an author talk on complexity. The Museum Pass program has been expanded to the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Westport County Playhouse, which is very cool. Staff reports that all regular programs of the teen staff reports that all regular programs of the Down Under, including Chess Club, Anime Club, and Teen Council, has been running as usual and have been very successful. Sing and Stomp on the Sherman Green, a family program, continues to be super popular, bringing about 250 to 300 people to the green. I was there, I had to add me go the other day to kind of, we did have a slight issue with gentlemen really enjoying bubbles. So we put on extra staff to manage any adults that are wandering in maybe after a fun night drinking at the train station. Both YA and children's staff have been doing a significant amount of school visits to promote summer reading. New cameras have been installed, particularly at the main library. All departments have been busy with the year-end fiscal closeout for the town. Our most popular social media post for the month was the job listing for a part-time page. Who would have thought that would have been a popular, but that was our most, hands down, our most popular posting.
I'm sorry, what's the page do?
Shelves books.
What do they do?
They
Shelf
shelf
books.
books. And this
Oh, I
position's
did that in
particularly
the
at Wood.
public library.
Well, there you go. We still need those people.
Yeah, I have experience.
You could have applied, you can't apply because you're on the board.
Yeah.
They got the
Time is past.
Mr. Chairman, we have all these nominees.
There were 9 work
I
orders.
don't want to relive my New York Public Library experience.
But you seem to have
Do you
enjoyed it.
have any idea how many shelves there are?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So there were 9 work orders for the main library, all closed but one, which is a larger project. Most were HVAC related, which typically comes this time of year. 2 work orders at the branch. At the time of the report, it was 1 closed, but I think the second one was for the curb cut, so both were closed. And we regret to report there has been elevator issues at Woods, including the elevator failing inspection. That has been resolved as the dumbwaiter resolved. So the dumbwaiter, which is the little mini elevator that brings the books up to that mezzanine area, that's still broken, but the elevator is currently functioning.
So the page has to bring the.
Yes, but there's no page. So when we hire the new page, that will be part of their job.
That's like the cat.
That's true. It's going off the rails. So one special report is on the Library of Things. Library staff has been tasked to research, draft, process and begin collection development for the library to add a library of things. Everybody read the article? Did everybody do their homework? There was an article that I sent with the packet. And the Library of Things is a unique collection of items patrons can borrow, including but not limited to instruments, tools, and recreational items. Some of the things that we've purchased for our Library of Things includes 2 ukuleles, which keep going out of tune. That's all last week for me. Some lawn game type things, a metal detector that's now gonna come with a trowel. So we reached out.
No, just, and Joey, he.
And Joey comes with it. So this is not something unusual for libraries. Westport has it, New Haven has it, and Fairfield University, as I put in my report. They have a collection, they've had a collection for some time. So this is in trend with what libraries are doing. There's definitely an interest. People are pretty excited about this. We hope to launch this initiative sometime in the summer. We do have to do some new shelving, and it'll here at this location, it'll be over by the reference desk. Did you guys pick an area for where you're gonna put some stuff? Not yet? Okay, so we're almost there. So by the summer, you'll start seeing some of these items and we'll put out something. We're gonna talk to the friends at the next Friends meeting to do maybe a launch with some like playing cornhole in the parking lot. So we'll keep you all updated to that. Just to cover how we're paying for this is something that we wanted to do for a while. There was some savings found from Baker and Taylor not shipping us books. I reported over the months about how Baker and Taylor moved the warehouse. Their digital section, their digital kind of front failed. So we had not significant, but we had a good enough of savings in our collection development fund that for now we're launching the pilot piece of this. And then in the future, when we start to develop this more, we've already spoken to friends about the friends are underwriting some of this as well. Hand it over to Jan for future stuff.
So, of course, right now, the big thing is preparing for summer reading, that involves circulation, children's, teens, adults. And the kickoff will be next Friday, June 16th at the Fairfield Museum. We've been doing it at the beach, but this year, be different at the museum. The Children's Department has a bunch of school nights set up for, families to come and, talk about summer reading activities. The teen librarian is also, in addition to summer reading stuff, she's spearheading the selection of a mascot for the library. The managers have narrowed it down to 3, and we're gonna somehow put it to a vote of patrons. Tech Services working with Adult Services to clean up the local history collection, reviewing and reorganizing, and there may possibly be a move of that collection in the not too distant future. And they're also working on obtaining and preparing items for the Library of Things. And just a few program highlights for this month, adult programs. Tomorrow, there's a partnership program with Sustainable Fairfield on making your home more energy efficient. That's here at Maine tomorrow. There'll be a program on Chat GPT, an introduction. That's on June 8th. That's at Maine also. That's a timely and important topic for the community.
Not Jim.
Gary Webster, who's been doing our technology programs for us. And is tomorrow and then Wednesday, Woods is hosting a community forum led by the Alzheimer's Association in partnership with the Ludlow Center for Health and Rehabilitation. So that should be good. And June 21st is Make Music Day, and the Main Library and other downtown venues will be hosting musical performances throughout the day.
There's one thing I forgot to add, and it's important. For some reason I skipped it. There were 8 incidences in May. It's important for the board to know about these things. And we did, 2 more associated with the same patron who has subsequently lost library privileges. So it's important for the board to know that as well.
Thank you. All right, next on our, next item of business is the policy review.
We're supposed to do the quarter.
Oh, quarterly statistics. Yeah.
Sorry.
Runs together sometimes.
Also, yeah.
Uh,
Maybe just minimize. There.
There.
There we go.
Still recording, so good. All right,
So Q3 of this year, the library saw a significant increase in program attendance, circulation, and visits. Numbers have begun to stabilize after tremendous growth coming out of the pandemic restrictions, but all metrics indicate robust use of other library services. Of the full reports in the packet. This was pretty impressive numbers. Really surprised circulation continues to trend up, and it was great to see program numbers go the direction that they were going. And some of those higher numbers are from very, these include OBOT, but when you look at program participation, it's pretty impressive that even though we continue to add programs to the calendar, we're still seeing more people coming out the door. Coming in the door.
great. Fantastic.
Circulation numbers, that's good. 20. So from last year to this year, so 10, because last year we were almost A-okay, right? I don't know. If we're
Last year, we were actually, last year we were through the roof.
Yeah.
So it's really surprising to, I expected like
Right,
3-4% growth,
Right.
not
yeah,
double-digit growth.
yeah.
So it's been, and it's not all ebooks, it's physical circuit as well.
Scott, the 3-year average, is that higher? Do we have a lot of online programs in 2020, the 21, 20? Is
Yeah,
that what's driving it up because we've transitioned more to?
yeah, I mean, the 3-year average will be interesting. You put the 3-year average to really kind of, really give an indication of this, of whether or not your growth is an outlier or not. From the 3-year average this year is, it's almost gonna be lower because you've still got the last really pandemic restriction.
Which
year
is,
there.
yeah, I was curious, because it was 22 was slightly lower, so it was up. But then we have 21 and 20, which would have been significantly higher on online.
Online, but overall programming numbers, no. Because even though we did a ton of online programs, you still didn't,
In the back half of
Yeah.
the fiscal year for the first pandemic,
Yeah.
so first year.
Yep,
not good. So it'll be interesting to see what the 3-year average looks like next year.
yeah,
And yeah, from a statistical point of view, it'll be interesting to see where those numbers are at. And again, the program growth is surprising.
yeah.
How does it look versus pre-pandemic? Like 19,
Really the one stat that worries me is visits. We're still, yeah, people coming in, which is strange, because it seems like we're really busy. But we're still not getting the foot traffic that we once got. Circulation, we're not at where we were. But if anybody was looking at the numbers in 19, the trend line was like 10% decrease every year, year over year for the next, and we're above where we projected to be at. I know that sounds strange to say, but book circulation has been dropping tremendously, and circulation overall, especially with the lack of interest in DVDs and physical media outside of books, has just been so. I don't know if we're close to circulation pre-pandemic, but we're at a higher number than where we projected.
Do you think, because I know for me, for instance, I rarely ever physically go into the library and look for books. I just go online,
Look to see if it's there.
and my kids just, I don't even do that. I let the kids just go through and reserve the ones they want. And then I get an email, I come in, I get them, and then I go out. I wonder if that has gone up, like people.
I think so, that's, actually, I'm gonna look at that because I'm interested to see how much of that theory is true, because I think that's a good one. And it's interesting to see, I think a lot of people learned of that service during the pandemic. So they're taking advantage
Yeah,
of it.
I would think that would.
So I'm next month, I will definitely give a report out on if reserves are up. Best way to see that is if reserves are up, but also if transactions are down. So in other words, a stat that we don't use that I love is transactions, which is how many times someone comes and gets their library scanned. Because circulation, you come to the desk, you've got a pile of books. That pile will get smaller as they get older, right? So circulation, usually, if you have a lot of people coming in after for story times, things of that nature, circulation can sometimes be overstated. But when you just do transactions, someone coming on, getting their card scanned, not counting their books, that's an interesting metric to see. I think if we compare that and reserves, I think we might be able to make at least some connection to whether or not they're using that service, and that's why they're coming in the door less.
Yeah.
They're basically online shopping. And doing
Exactly,
it.
which would make sense, because that has jumped since.
And our
2020.
door count keeps going up along with our program numbers and our study rooms. Like today, you couldn't get study room.
It's also finals, or no,
Yes, that's
it's
what,
finals for high
Yeah.
school.
for high school. So, and there's people all over this. So it's interesting because that's why we've been frustrated with the numbers, the door count numbers not getting to where they were. And that might actually be a good explanation and a good thing to kind of try to map out.
And how's ebook?
Ebook circulation keeps going up. It wasn't like it was during the pandemic, but it's still continuing to see growth. It's like a third of our circulation.
You go, sir?
So, and I think did you keep that graph in there? There was a graph that we had. Yeah, circulation by location, and we did digital as location. So yeah, we're 39, basically 39,000 items. I did the percentage somewhere in the back of an envelope.
Next to it.
Just under
No.
a quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we're almost at the same circulation as the branch when it comes to digital, as a location.
Well,
So, I mean, that's a metric that'll grow, and it'll continue to grow. The biggest thing that gets in the way of that is just the cost of that service. And sadly, from what I've been hearing today, the bill that would have helped with that is probably not gonna make it to the Senate. That's it.
Great. All right, now we'll get to the next item. So we have here the bulletin board and handout policy, as with edits from Scott. Scott, do you want to take us through the edits you have?
There are no edits.
Oh, no, yeah, sorry. Just
So, yeah,
commentary.
this, it's, just helps the staff, library, stakeholders, the public, know what information and how material can be posted and distributed by the community on library premises. Library has multiple bulletin boards, tables, and racks, Their primary purpose is to house material that promotes library events and services. So it's when space allows, the library permits non-library material to be posted. Friends don't count in this, we count Friends as library material. The library administration proposes no changes to the policy and feel that it's been working well for us so far. But it's always important to put these on the agenda so board members read it and remember, because.
Do you want to make one little edit? there?
Sure.
It's just one space allows the library permits non-library material to be posted or housed, I'm assuming. Is that, because you're right, our house,
Our house in the middle of the street,
yeah.
okay.
po-
I don't think the board needs to vote on that, because that's just a clerical error.
I like the policy though.
Scott, Jan, and Nancy, in your experience, have you had any issues with people's materials being either removed or not accepted, where they had took umbrage with it?
No, it happens a lot that will reject their request to post, but no
Yeah.
one's really kicked back about it.
Okay.
I like this policy. Good.
Yes.
Very
It's
helpful
great
for
to
you
have the
all.
policy.
Oh, yeah,
Refer to it, and
Yes,
it's the same
Yeah.
for everybody, so.
for sure.
yeah, good one.
You'll have the occasional snuck onto the board.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you have to go by and remove it.
I'm
For sale, car.
Yeah.
Okay.
You do know that books are free here, so you don't want to be that sense. Just letting you guys know, it's not a selling books place. All right. So seeing as that there are no edits, we do not need to vote, unless anybody has any further comments. All right, so it has been reviewed. Now we'll move into our committee / liaison report, starting with space planning.
I've been in Chicago
So,
almost all month.
How's Chicago in terms of space?
So Chicago was cold and then it was warm and then it was cold again.
I think that happened here too, didn't it?
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much.
So the items are on order. There was a little situation with the chairs that we had selected to go with the tables where the manufacturer won't make them unless they have an order for 100. So they were estimating 8 to 10 month wait on that. So we selected a very similar comparable chair and the 8 to 10 weeks on that. So should be seeing that in a few months.
And just to confirm with that,
Cost was slightly less.
okay, it's good. There are no more phases there's no more need for furniture at this stage.
Let's say there are no more planned phases.
Perfect, yes, yes, totally get it. Cool. All right. Fundraising committee.
We haven't done anything.
We haven't yet. I remembered
We
this
said we
one.
would wait a little bit.
Yeah, but I'll talk to Danielle at the Friends meeting
Yeah.
and we'll get a date now that we waited on golf and then we waited on the
Very luncheon.
literary luncheon, so now we'll do it now before the next big event, which is food truck
Truck in September.
festival. So,
When is the food truck?
It's in September this year.
yeah, September 10th.
All right then.
This one, sure, yeah, one.
So the next item is the ad hoc bond committee. What are you doing? What do you need? Oh, I love you too. All right, 10 minutes to talk. We have not had a chance as the ad hoc bond committee to meet. However, I did want to use this time to open some discussion around the idea of the bond and its intended purpose, which I think as through the discussions Scott and I have had, and Nancy and I have had, talked with a number of you guys about this, with the idea that it would be around the Woods Library. Now, one of the things we can look at putting out an RFP for an architect to provide estimates and proposals for what,
Have your attention, please. The library will be closing in 25 minutes. If you need a library card or special assistance, please come to the circulation desk now. Just a reminder, the Wi-Fi will shut down at 7:45.
with effectively 3 different options of cosmetic changes, gutting the building as well as a rebuild. Now, one thing that does complicate this, and Chris and I were talking the other night of the impact of if we were to do a full overhaul of woods, what impact that would have to the community, particularly the woods community. And wanted to kind of open the floor for discussion around thoughts, regarding that impact and what sort of, what efforts could be taken to mitigate that, if we were to undertake an overhaul of the building. So I guess first to the trustees, any thoughts with regards to the ideas of the 3 of cosmetic, gutting, and tear it down?
I just would want to know how great the need is of each one of them. Or, because, you know, if you're just fixing something that's gonna,
Is it a
Yeah.
is it a Band-Aid on
it's a
a?
Band-Aid, and then
Yes.
is it going, are we pushing it down the road, and then
Yes,
we'll have to affect, well, it's gonna impact the folks sooner or later anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know what the answer is for that.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I concur with that. Like, I would like to better understand the situation over there.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking and hypothetically, I was.
Yeah.
saying it's gonna have an impact, but that's me just listening to
Right.
folks say things.
Sure,
I have no idea. That building has been described as being very, very bad. Multiple times. Beyond that, like, I haven't heard anything positive other than it stands in fact shelter.
I'm a resident of that community, of that
so,
area, and I've never felt that the Woods branch is very, very bad. I mean, it's functional, it works, it's limited. I think that, if there's anything, if we can open up the discussion into the community, not on a negative sense, but sort of the trustees have been looking at it. We know that there are certain strengths, there's certain weaknesses. What would you like to see in this community? What would people like to see in terms of the library and its impact on that entire area, which goes all the way up to into the Bridgeport, line. We have a situation, more and more people are moving in. We have the new apartment houses. I don't know what kind of impact that has. Beautifully designed, those apartments. It's my facetiousness, sorry. But we are having more apartments being built. And it would be interesting to get input from the community as well as do some form of long-term study or some sort of a study on what this impact is going to be of new people moving into the area.
yeah, I mean, I live in the Stratfield section, and.
So why? Yeah.
And so, we've used, that's our library. Like, especially when the kids were little. So I always just felt it was too small. That was my biggest thing. That's, but, it just was when you're looking at the size of the two, and some of the community children, yeah. But I don't know, I just want to hear.
Staff is-
Library. Hold on. I just want to hear from library staff, like, is it something that's real? Is it meeting the staff's needs? Is it meeting the patrons' needs? So I love the idea of focus groups and stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to hear what, like, people who are working in the
Yeah.
building and really understand it
Yeah.
before we throw it to the general public.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can only have like 2 items that they can have an opinion on, or else they'll unsolicited advice. But I would like to know more, and then The other thing is obviously understanding more, then we can narrow down the options that we have available to us. And then the other thing too is like, does the piece of the land that it's on support any of the things that we're talking about? Because I know there's a road on the backside. There's limited parking in the front, and I think it's squished up against tennis courts on the side, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
But right now, it's only one floor, right, in the basement, right? Is that, am I right? One
Mhm.
floor in the basement.
And the mezzanine
And the
area,
mezzanine,
which is,
right, right.
which
So
there's no
I think
ADA
that that's, right.
accessibility to it.
No.
But if it was to be leveled, how much, what would zoning allow in that area? I
Yeah.
don't,
and that's where I think it needs to be, because it is obviously a town building.
Yeah.
That, Scott, who would be, I mean, we'd obviously have the discussion with the first selectman's office.
So, I mean, they are open to this idea.
Yeah,
I mean, they are definitely open to this idea, and they said we need to bring a plan to them. And we wouldn't do a plan without sitting down with the staff and doing, a focus group with the staff. And then I agree, you do the focus group with the staff first, then you do a focus group with the community. They wanted a plan, the timeline really pretty much becomes, we need to figure out what we want to do. We need to then get an architect to give us a general idea of the cost. Then the CFO needs to bring that cost to the finance committee, and I believe the selectmen, whether or not it'll be included in the capital plan moving forward. Then they pick a year in which it's a part of the capital plan, then the bond happens, then the building happens. So this is like not a next year thing.
Oh, no.
This is like a 5-year out thing, and that's important for people to understand. But what they really need us to do now that they're open to it, and there's always a possibility if you do this work, the administration changes, you get a whole new administration, and either they're gung ho and they want to spend millions and help, or they say, no, we don't want any part of this whatsoever.
Right.
So,
Yeah, but I mean, once you have the document, that's the hardest thing, is getting that document. Once you have that, you can every 4 years do it recycle.
but also having the support, because I've been in town for 25 plus years. I remember there's been conversations about this since I've been
Yeah.
resident of this town, so.
Fact is that, the library adds to quality of life. So, be interesting to see what the community says after, needless to say, our own internal needs assessment with the staff and evaluation with the staff, and all the steps you have to go through. Getting a bond is not.
May I have your attention, please? The library will be closing in
It'd be
15
very
minutes.
exciting.
Please check out all the.
But you know, the point about the land is right. I mean, that's small now.
And that's the thing, like, if you were to, let's say, knock it down and rebuild something in its place. The biggest challenge we have here is parking was awful, and I think the parking is really bad up there as well.
but patrons have told me they actually will
Some
go
ways-
there.
You can
maybe-
get closer, better.
In
Get
some ways, it may be better over there than it is here.
I mean, because the parking not only is bad here in the sense that it's small here, when you park on the street, it blocks everyone trying to get out of the library, and then if you got little kids. I mean, as much as I'd like to say 25 is the speed limit, like, people fly down that road.
No, there was a parked car that got hit the other day and pushed onto somebody's lawn.
Yeah, so I mean,
Really?
so, and I mean, I live up there, I've been to that library, I think, twice, but I do know it's super constrained.
So maybe the first step of the bond committee, or it could be whatever committee, is to set a budget to do first focus group with staff to discuss maybe some blue sky, kind of what do they envision for there. Set those parameters and then do one for the public. That might be, we probably want to hire a facilitator for this, so it's an outside voice collecting the information. But that might be our first step in this.
Well, wouldn't really the first step be internally in terms of political situation to make certain
Oh, but
that,
something-
that there is, after there is the meeting with the staff, to sit down with the powers that be internally here to say, this is what we're thinking. We'd like you to steer some of the issues that we're concerned about, you need to be concerned about.
I think we've,
You know, I mean, I know.
I think we've already had that conversation, but we'll have that conversation with them again.
Yeah.
I mean, they have already, I mean, they know the concerns with that building simply because DPW does all the work on the building.
Yeah.
I know.
Constantly answering the concern.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, from my perspective, I think, I agree, we want to canvass the staff and get some ideas from them. I think first things first is for us to better understand the issues with the building. Like, I don't need tick by tick, but high level, like roof is leaking. We know the elevator doesn't work.
Ever, and it's new.
That's how they do.
You know what I mean? But if we could get like a high level, look, these are the issues surrounding it. So at least we can frame our minds around specifically the problems. with the building.
And not just that, probably about limitations of the building, right? Because the building, it's the building, we don't have, the students at Ward don't have the study rooms. The seniors that go there don't have so whatever we can do to maybe level up the services that are provided there to more closely match what's here. I think would now be the time to add that in.
yeah, I think though what Chris is talking about is, first and foremost, I hate to put it this way, what's wrong with the building? Straight up, what is wrong, like, not what's missing, but like physically what is. God, I can sit next and answer that. But
Stated, right?
This is a great opportunity for anybody who wants to say like, yeah, this is what I want.
Who's been saying from the beginning, and this building's space,
Yeah.
there's a lot of wasted space, especially in the basement.
Yep.
That whole mezzanine area, because the stacks are all connected, you can't do any flexibility, and there's just stairs, so there's no ADA
So
Layout.
back in
layout.
2011, the board did do a feasibility study. They paid to have a company do that. I would start with that and see what in that is still an issue and what is no longer an issue.
Yeah, I mean, because that'll at least.
Get a starting point.
Which is.
Yeah, I
Right
mean,
now.
it's old, but a lot of it could still,
But it still gives you
That's
base.
yeah.
I imagine most people still have.
So one of two things. Do you want us to schedule either a tour for the board to walk through the building to see what we're talking about? Or do we want to schedule a board meeting there and set some time of the board meeting, which would be unusual, but set some time for the board meeting, maybe at 8 o'clock when the branch closes?
Up until 3 years ago, we'd had.
Mary
board
Coleman
meetings there.
Saturday, she goes, no.
So you
Wait,
take
so the
them
board,
to-
yes, the board.
The summer.
Time.
It was,
summer.
it was wonderful, longer than the summer.
No, it was only,
It was only
summer.
Yeah.
In the.
The original.
That's funny, because when we made the schedule, I almost suggested it, and then I was like, ah. Okay, well, I mean,
So
either way.
I thought it was really a good, other than also having it be very convenient to home, I thought it was really a good opportunity for the board to see
Yeah.
the two buildings in
In,
service.
in Albany,
So,
we rotated between the 7 buildings.
Yeah.
Which
So-
got
I think that-
trustees lost all the time.
I think that makes
Yeah.
two, we should be fine.
Same.
Should be,
about
should be.
gas.
there you go.
Oh, you're not
No,
gonna
I
be
won't
here.
be here.
Okay, so
Fine, wait a minute.
next board
The
meeting,
next board.
Open meeting.
next board meeting, we will provide a revised schedule of board meetings and try to do a rotation or at least a few of the board meetings at once.
So where was Jim's one?
It was, used to be just the summer ones there.
The biggest concern right now is availability.
We
So
met down.
We're always downstairs.
which is now where the team programming all happens.
The little room, what's
The
the
little-
little
yeah.
storage?
Yeah, it was really nice.
This is
when
what
they
they call
all-
it, the interrogation.
The horrible
Because
lights.
the light-
That's what it was. It was-
Okay, so,
felt like
We're
an
in
interrogation.
15.
Yeah.
so we will reschedule a new,
There's another reason to do
That's
something.
we will come back with a new schedule with a handful of meetings at the branch. How big of a handful do you want?
15.
I need,
Yeah, like a little baby.
Yeah, we're all set.
thank you. So,
Saying,
I don't think, I can look on, I mean, I can look on the schedule,
Jill
but,
says
you know, I think
she doesn't know.
there's not anything in the evening on Monday.
okay,
If we wanted to jump right in and do July.
July we want to do here because it's the annual meeting, it's the new board member. But let's aim for September. So we'll come back with a revised schedule in July.
Okay.
And then one of those meetings, we'll put it on the agenda. Or part of the agenda to be a walkthrough of the building.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Both of them, just do the walkthrough golf bad. Couple meetings at Woods. All right. Oh, phones. Include that, if I don't get this photos and shit, I'll get stuck in the library. It's my wife, Sarah.
This is super, super top secret stuff.
So cute. Because I think she thinks Sam's where she can walk in the library, she hears the announcements.
You know, if you rebuilt that whole library, you'd increase our property values.
That's how I want you to sell it to your neighbors
Yes.
now,
And you get everybody over there to get a library card, it increases the town
you know?
metrics too.
All right, so I think, in terms of first steps for the process, just get that on the, move one of the meetings to Woods, have a walkthrough, part of the board meeting, and then we can begin the process of collecting feedback from staff, and then beyond that, we'll.
Can I add to that, the 2011 feasibility and just high level, like these are the consistent challenges or whatever it is involved?
We'll go through them.
Yeah.
Doesn't appear to be anywhere in our G drive, or at least not in feasibility. All right. All right, next item is the Friends of the Library update.
So we're ending our fiscal year in June like everybody else, so we're just wrapping up things and beginning budgeting for next year's programming. What we could do to help out the programs at both of the libraries. Literary luncheon was successful. It was smaller than we had in the past. But the participants really liked how much more interactive it was because there were a few less participants. And as Scott said, the next big event for us will be the Food Truck Festival, and we moved it earlier into the year, into September. We were getting tripped up in Jewish holidays when we were doing it in that late September, early October, and weather seems to be a little more consistent in September. There will not be a rain date this year. It's one day, that's it. We got a little confused last year with the rain date and should we cancel, should we not cancel? And we're just gonna go for it, whatever it is, we're gonna go. And that's pretty much what we have.
All right. All right, the next item is the website redesign, and Jill is not here, so we will continue on down the agenda to the treasurer's report. And Aaron's not here. All right then. So, moving on down to new business, we will need to choose a new executive slate for next, we'll be voting on it in July, but we'll need to maintain it, or vote on new executive slate, as we are losing our secretary. Is there interest from either Peter or Chris to be secretary?
I'm gonna become paid.
I'm pretty sure I've talked to Jill. It's one of those, I know I've spoken with her before, but, I will reach out to Jill, or we can bring it up in conversation with the new trustee, interest around being secretary, moving forward. So we'll have those conversations. I am continuing on as as chair, unless somebody else wants to do it. Chris?
You were thinking of giving it to you for life.
Oh. President for life, huh? That never goes wrong. And then I will confirm with Erin, but, I see no reason why she shouldn't continue on as treasurer.
Andrew, whomever, because Lori was asking, whomever is secretary. To meet with them. to
I-
talk about.
Greatly appreciate that.
There we go.
Greatly appreciate that. All right, and that actually transitions right into our next item of business, the new trustee seat. At which point, just because we're talking about, new members of the board, at this point, I would say we should go into executive session to discuss the individuals. Do we have a motion to move into executive
So
session?
moved.
Moving to second session. All right,
So.
favor? And then you can just
So,
pause.
stop recording.
Yep.
Second.
If you go to record.
You pick.
All right, we've come out of executive session. Is there, all left is to adjourn the meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second from Chris. All in favor? Aye. All right, the meeting is adjourned at 8:26 PM. Thank you, everyone.